let's go ahead and jump in. All right. So, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you being here. And I know that right now, everyone's a little bit concerned. They're a little bit scared. They're not 100% sure what they should be doing in their business. And the reality of it is that for all of us, this is uncharted territory. We are going to be figuring this out together. And that is the truth of it. Thankfully, we have Steve Egner here with Brandon Schneider from Steve's Plumbing. They are in the heart of the Seattle area, and they are uniquely equipped to help us through this. I'd like to start by having Steve introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your company, and then Brandon, if you'd do the same, please.
Hi, I'm Steve Egner, owner of Steve's Plumbing. Todd and I go way back, trying to count the years, about 8 years, I think, with Service Excellence training right now. Our company's been in the Seattle area for 25 years. I've been in the plumbing field this is my 42nd year, beginning in Texas, moved here in '86. Fortunate to have been able to grow a company of our size. We have a small company still by definition, 7 technicians, 4 apprentices, warehouse person, 2 CSRs, and my wife and I. But we're a team. Brandon is one of my long-term team members. He's just about to come up on his 5th year anniversary. We're proud to have taken him from warehouse through apprenticeship to plumber, and he joins me today, Brandon Schneider.
So I've been, like Steve said, with the company for 5 years. I started plumbing with him. I worked my way from warehouse to apprentice to now full-time plumber in my own truck running service calls. I have been in the service industry in the construction industry for 16 years. So although I'm newer to plumbing, I've been in construction for a long time. So I went through the 2008 slowdown, went through all that in my old company. We had to do some stuff to get through that, which is probably what we're going to have to do to get through this one as well. Just kind of change things up.
All right. Thank you guys both for being here. You're greatly appreciated. We're greatly appreciative of you, I should say. And guys, what I want to tell you, for every 100 companies that's represented on this call right now, and for those that are going to watch it, the goal for Service Excellence Training has not changed. If you don't know our mission statement, I'm going to share it with you now. It's to bring power and hope to every contractor, their employee, and the families that they touch. Those words were penned out 8 years ago, and they have not fundamentally changed. Power is the ability to make change in your current position, and hope is the belief that something better is coming. That's our mission. That's why we're doing this. It's why we've always done this. It's why we'll continue to do this. The second thing is to let you know that your company can actually thrive, not because you're taking advantage of the situation, but because the situation is going to demand that the service people of the world be available. Steve will share his philosophy on that in a minute, and I'm going to be excited for you guys to hear that. But your company can thrive and not just survive during this period. A huge part of that is going to be the attitude that you adopt. And going into that attitude, what I want to do is I want to give you 5 things that I want you to keep in mind as we go through this with Steve today. These are 5 things that every company should be doing continuously, but that the uber successful companies do in times of crisis. Number 1, and I would recommend writing these down. Number 1 is advertising. Successful companies in times of crisis don't stop advertising. Number 2 is training. Successful companies train their people in times of crisis. Why? Because good customer service becomes more important in these times, and because probably you're going to have to adapt what you're doing. You communicate that through training. Number 3 is retention. If in your mind you're thinking to yourself, this is going to economically hurt your business, and it might a little bit, let's face reality, you shouldn't be thinking about who you're going to have to lay off. You should be thinking about what programs can you do to boost retention. You should be talking about your people, about the reality of the situation, and encouraging them. Because guys, let me share with you, people follow leaders that they feel strongly about and that they feel like are taking them somewhere safe. Right now is the time to retain your people. But you know what? Right now is the time to recruit people. There are going to be a lot of companies that aren't hearing these messages. They're going to be panicking. They're going to be doing knee-jerk responses. They're going to be doing stupid things. And employees are going to run in fear. It's your opportunity to get them. Here's number 5. And number 5 isn't for every business. But what I'm going to share with you is that acquisition is one of the key strategies in moments like this. There are going to be several businesses that have not prepared themselves for this event, and they're not making adjustments now that we're in it. There's going to be businesses that will go away. It better not be yours, but you should take advantage of these opportunities and look for acquisitions. Advertise, train, retain, recruit, and acquire. This is what you should do aggressively in this time. I also want to tell you what we're doing as a company, and then we're going to jump into Steve's. What we're doing as a company for at least the 8 next weeks, or until the government recommends different, is we're banning travel. None of our team members are allowed to get on a plane and travel across the world. Why? Because we're trying to be good citizens. And because fundamentally, we as a company can still deliver service to you guys using these methods, and we can do it very effectively. It's been the heart of our business for 8 years. We're probably the best at it. So we're not going to travel for the time being. Number 2, we're not going to gather in large groups in our classroom live events like we normally do, but we are going to continue to hold those events. We're going to put those 100% online, and we've got a very creative way to make sure that the value is high. When live events go back, for those that attend them online, they're going to be able to attend the live event for free if they attended one and online. So in reality, we're amping up our value there. And for all of our clients very soon, while we can't mandate anything, we're going to be recommending, and several of our clients have already did this. Kanga and Austin, we're doing this transition with them now. Tim Bolden Brothers, we're doing this transition now. We're actually recommending that all of our clients stop gathering together for the time being, and that every technician, every CSR put Zoom on their phone. We can still do our job, and we can do it well. Steve, we might even be able to do it better, because when Brandon's got his phone right here, I can see that body language a lot better.
Awesome.
So we're still recommending training. We're not going anywhere. We're not shutting down business, but what we are recommending is that all of our clients go to Zoom meetings. So if you're a client, you're going to be talking to your coaches soon. We're here for you. We're not going anywhere. Your guys need to be motivated. They need to connect socially. This is going to be a periodic period of representation for that. So these are what we are doing. We're also going to be continuing to teach training on how to run service calls, might be called zero contact service calls, and how to train and manage remotely as a manager. These things are coming. With that being said, we're now going to switch our focus over to our guest, the reason why you're here, which is Steve and Brandon. I've got several questions written down, but what I want to do is I want to give everyone an opportunity right now. We're going to take a 60-second pause. And in the 60 seconds, I want you to get whatever device you're using. And I want you to put the biggest question. Even if it's not a question, maybe it's a statement. Maybe it's a statement of gratitude. Maybe it's a statement of concern. Maybe it's a fear. I want you to take 60 seconds, and I want you to send that in the chat function. That 60 seconds starts now. Send us your question. For those of you that don't know how to find the chat function, I'm going to type a question, and when you see it pop up, you'll know. Mm. All right. Questions are starting to come in. That's wonderful. You guys keep typing them. A lot of questions coming in. Thank you for sending your questions. We're going to give you a few more seconds to finish that. Great questions are coming in. Good, good, good. Lots of them coming in. Fantastic. Okay. I'll continue to check these questions. We're going to roll up to the top now. We're going to go through them. All right. Here's the first question. It's from Jim. Steve and Brandon, what have you discovered that has been an unexpected opportunity that has risen amidst this chaos that we're in right now?
Well, I can tell you one thing. Everybody's staying home right now. Everybody's finding their plumbing issues. That's one of the biggest things. We were actually, before this started, we were slower than we are now. We've gotten busier because of this, and it's because everybody's seeing the issues that are in their home, and because they're home, they want to take care of them while they're home. And it basically, even though there is the prospect of having somebody who could potentially spread the disease, there most people, as long as you're not trying to shake hands, not getting close to people, the conversation is still, I'm still able to have conversations with customers and put people at ease just by showing up to the door clean, with my shoe covers on, and while I'm working, I always wear gloves, and so and as Steve has shown us from when I started, just keep your area clean. It should be cleaner than anything else in their home. So we have simple green because it has a smell to it. So it shows the customer that you actually care about their home, and that they appreciate that. Yeah.
Brandon, I have a question that's a follow-up to that. Have you guys ran any service calls yet because people have used this instead of toilet paper?
It's the flushable wipes more than anything.
Yeah.
The people think that just because they say flushable on them that they're not. And those, I did a kitchen clog and found flushable wipes came because I got my snake out to the sewer. I did one yesterday, and flushable wipes came up with it, and it basically everybody denied that they used them, but if I find them, they've been used in the house.
Yeah.
So that's what we're finding so far.
Steve, what do you have to add to that unexpected opportunities question?
Well, I like what you brought up previously, that yes, we do have an opportunity because people are sequestered to their homes. They're focused more on the condition of their homes, and their home has to be a safe, functioning place, right? However, I do not feel that we're being unreasonably opportunistic. We've always been first responders in that sense, to take care of the home, make it a safe, healthy, comfortable environment. Mm-hmm. So that's all we're doing. And we've been as surprised by the turn of our call volume as anyone. Right now, I had a difficult time pulling a tech out of the field, whereas March is historically low for us. Then you add the COVID-19, and then you add the economic impact. We should be shut down, but we're not. Our men are all busy in the field, and we're gonna work at it.
There's no question. And I saw Chris Elmore do a simple exercise, and I'm not going to unpack it fully, but the essence of his exercise was that most people, when they're in a normal environment, Monday through Friday, they're at their home sometime from being about 6:30 to about 7 in the morning, and most of those hours are sleep time. They're non really heavy use times. Heavy uses take place at work and other places. So we've got a very limited amount of heavy use. We're about to exponentially compound our heavy use on our plumbing system, on our electrical system, and obviously on our heating and air conditioning system. For those of you that are sitting here watching from the roofing standpoint, they're going to notice things about their roof they haven't noticed before because they're home. So we're about to stress systems out like crazy, which brings up another point that I want to stress to you guys. Think about this for just a moment. We're recommending strongly that you go to, let's say you got a team of 10, right? We're recommending very, very strongly that you take this advice and you use it. If you got a team of 10 and your business is amped up right now, and it will be, and you're meeting virtually, there's no way that you're going to cross-contaminate someone virtually. If this one person is exposed, that's unfortunate. And there's a high probability because of all the contact time. But now what you're doing is you're eliminating 1/10 of your workforce, not all of your workforce. Because if you watch Trump's recommendation today, it's extraordinarily clear. If you come into exposure and even if you're not feeling symptoms, he's recommending that this workforce goes in isolation for 14 days. So guys, take this very seriously. Start dispatching from home immediately. You need to take this very serious. It's far better to lose one team member than it is to lose all of your team if you're doing the morally ethical thing. All right, protect yourself starting right now. Now, Steve, I put this out there because this is something that is new that we're even recommending, and we understand how much of a strain that might potentially put on folks, and we understand the need to load materials and all these things. So I want to ask you a question. I've not prepared you for this, but how do you intend on managing through some of these most recent urgent recommendations that the CDC is making?
I think that we were ahead of the move with many of the precautions that we took, but we actually discussed this as a company yesterday before all the men to prepare them for the possibility that they'll be dispatched from home sooner than later. So I think that's an excellent recommendation. Moreover, it's easy. With our technology, there's no excuse not to. It just means that apprentices might have to find their way to a plumber and vice versa, but we can drop the attendance at the office and the risk of cross-contamination measurably. So we're going to implement that.
Yeah. I have a young man doing a project that's at my office right now, and he's working in our creative suite. And I'm not going into that office this week out of respect for my family and out of respect for his. I gave him the key earlier, and I know him. I know his family. I said, Blake, I trust you. Finish the project. When you're done, let me know, and I'll go in there with mask and gloves and disinfect, and we'll get out of my home office and back into my studio that I love. But let's go to some more questions. Wow, here's a big one. What do you do if a technician on your team has a family member that has now been tested positive for COVID?
There's really no choice, is there? I mean, we don't want to face the ugly reality, but if that person's been exposed, then he can't come in. And that person is under the same quarantine that his family member is. It's black and white. These answers are not hard. They're necessary. And that's the way we would view it.
Yeah.
We avoid even the appearance of impropriety. I had a technician who called me, I think we discussed it. A technician called and said, Steve, hey, I've got my seasonal allergies, watery eyes, runny nose, but don't worry, I can still work. No, you can't. You can't come in, even though those aren't the COVID-19 symptoms. If anyone thinks that we're being inappropriate in who we send to their door, we lose all the public trust. So if Brandon's fiance, Sam's, came down with it, Brandon would have to stay home for the same quarantine period as Sam until it were settled.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Mm. You know, and it would be really challenging to work around any of that. I wouldn't say it was impossible, but most technicians probably don't have a guest house where they could go get themselves tested and go, I'm clean, I'm gonna hang out in my guest house. The reality of it is that in most of our situations, it's probably going to be a scenario of what you just described, which is self-quarantining. And by the way, they're currently recommending 14 days. You might have heard 24 to 48 hours without a fever. They're now recommending 14 days. 14 days if they've been exposed, 14 days. Again, there's probably some legitimate ethical workarounds if you literally went and got the test to make sure you didn't expose yourself to anyone in between the time. But I imagine, unfortunately, JJ, that's going to happen, or pardon me, Joe, that's going to happen to a lot of us. Again, which is why you don't want to lose the entirety of your workforce. It'd be far better to lose one for 14 days. Okay, here's a good one. This is from C. Campbell. Do you have a script that you're using for customers that ask what are your precautions that you're taking as a company when it comes to the techs that are coming into the home?
We lead the way with that. And so we don't want to put customers on the defensive right away. So we're asking about their precautions. And yes, we do have a script that the CSR has introduced. They are asking if anyone in the home has signs of any illness whatsoever. That's our second question. But the first question, we just ask them, would you like our men to wear masks inside your home? So we approach the issue that way. We give them a choice, and we have some customers who are saying yes, and some customers, most in fact, who are saying no. But then we go on to inquire about the health of the household. And at that point, it brings in an interesting situation too. I love every one of my men. That's no shock. I tell them so. And I appreciate the links that they have to my family and to their families and extensions out there. If a customer were to respond that, yeah, we do have signs of illness in the home, then my men have the ethical choice to make if they want to do that call. I've given my men, I've empowered every one of them the right to refuse to do that call. I'm not going to deliberately put my men at risk, even with our hazmat suits, even with our full respirators, rubber gloves, and disinfectant. That's not enough. I'm asking these men to earn a living. I'm not asking them to risk their lives or risk their livelihoods. So we have those choices. We begin asking the customers if they want us to take the mask precaution. We follow up by asking about the health of their home. If there is any indication that wasn't answered in the phone call, my technician goes to the door and finds someone who's obviously displaying symptoms, or they allow that there's someone in the home who's been diagnosed. They have the right to refuse to enter that home.
Good. And if you guys don't mind, I want to give some thoughts on recommendations as well. So someone asked, how do you go about a complete no contact service call? Well, RJ, the answer is we haven't got that 100% mapped out, but we're very actively working on that. We do have some ideas that we know that work. And Steve just painted a scenario. So I'm going to use Steve's scenario. I'm not going to tell you what to do, where he gives the guys an option. And let's face reality. At some point, we're probably going to hear the message change a little bit. It's probably going to go from, hey, contractors, don't go out there, to, hey, contractors, you're front of the line and you're just as important as what the nurses in the medical community are doing now. Because if someone is sick at home and their electricity goes out, their roof is pouring on them, their plumbing's not working, they can't get AC, it would be unethical not to do something. It would be like a doctor not providing medical treatment because this person has a contagious virus. So I think we'll probably hear a transition to where it goes to that. Now, as of today, Trump was even asking for construction workers to give their masks to hospitals. They think it's at that point. That's pretty serious when they're asking construction workers to give their mask over to hospitals. It's pretty serious. So this is what I would recommend. If someone says, yes, I'm showing signs, and you as a company choose to go because you consider it an essential call, I'd very politely ask this person, say, we're going to implement our zero contact service call. We ask that you please let us into your home in the way that's the best for you. We can alert you when we get to the front door via text message. You unlock the door. We ask that you please turn off the fans in your home, air conditioning fans, overhead fans, and we ask that you please put yourself into your room. We will come in with our hazmat gear. We will disinfect the area. We will communicate with you via phone from outside of your house and review options. And we'll send you pictures of everything that we've got. all of your options. You can communicate this all through text message. I guarantee you, if a homeowner is sick, they're going to appreciate those steps. They're not going to be offended. You can still protect yourself. Hold that mask up if you would. I have that same mask. These are NIOSH rated N95 masks. I think one's a Honeywell and one's a 3M. Is that correct?
Correct.
I've got a Honeywell and a 3M. I use them for asthma. These are active masks, which means they filter on the end. They protect the user. They don't filter on the out. They don't protect the person on the other side. So if you are healthy as a service tech and you wear there's no way that, well, I shouldn't say there's no way. The probability is extremely less that you are going to catch anything. But if you're sick and you're wearing those particular masks, you can still give it to other people. So it's an amazing, very, very, very good system. They make systems that are both active and passive, exhale and inhale. So that would be one of the things I'd recommend. We will put out more content on that, RJ, step by step over some coming time. Rebecca, I'm scared for our economy. I understand, but let me share with you, there are some people that are doing just fine. The grocery stores, they're doing great. Service contractors like us, we're going to do fine. Oddly enough, people that supply home gym equipment, they're doing great. There are going to be sectors of the economy that are going to be hurt for sure. Restaurants are probably going to suffer the most, unfortunately. One burned down yesterday in our neighborhood. I'm not too sure they didn't light a match. But it's going to be more than okay. And I think that we're all doing the things that we can do. And the best thing that we can do for our economy is to continue consumer spending and do it in the safest ways possible. Got another question for you, Steve. This is, I believe, from the Gentleman Pro Plumbers up in Canada. We are asking clients several health questions. In Canada, we all have self-isolated quarantine when we are sick. How do you determine if it's safe to send your text? I think you kind of addressed that, but is there anything you'd like to add to that?
We're proceeding in a fashion that will give us information that we need without putting off the customer. And I think that we're in a very understanding environment. So I think we could possibly inquire even more deeply than we have. But at the same time, we're getting initially what's required from the customer, just asking if anyone in the home is suffering from any illness. And then the technicians have the duty to make accurate observations once they're on site. Because let's face it, we're in the service industry. Every time a customer calls, how often would you say they give you accurate information in the first place?
Not very often.
Yeah, it's less than a quarter of the time, right? So why should this be any different? So we're not taking it as gospel if someone says, oh, everybody's good. We're just taking that as the first indicator. But we've still got what it takes to protect our people. And that's the way we're going out. Really, firsthand observation is going to conclude whether or not the customer was honest. And at this point, I think that we could very quickly get to the point where customers are going to withhold information like that. It's still important to ask, but I wouldn't take it for granted that you're going to get the honest response when you do.
You know, in lieu of that, Stephen, I think you're right. As a friend, I would recommend that you guys go to 100% mask until further notice.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, just wear them. And Brandon, I love you, brother, but you're not creating an airtight seal with that hair. It's got to go, man. Toby, we've been trying to figure out all these years how to get people to shave, and we found out. All right. Hey, Sam from Bolden Brothers very graciously just sent a message, said that he is happy to share the coronavirus policy that their company has put together. And we actually have a copy of that, Sam. I think Tim sent us to us. Thank you. Guys, I put my email in the messages. And if you guys want to write it down, it's Todd, TODD, at serve, SERVEXTRA. Just shoot me an email in the subject line that says, I want the policy, and I'll get it to you, and we'll make sure that we publicly say thank you to Tim and Sam over at Bolden Brothers for that. I've had a chance to review it. It's a very good one. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to scroll here. Kate, thank you for your question. I think we've answered that. Jim, do you think that this is going to change us for the better or for the worse? I think he's asking a broad spectrum question.
Well, in my opinion, it's going to be for the better. Basically, because of what the precautions we're going to have to take going into everybody's homes. Some of the things we're going to be doing should continue after this is done. That includes the cleaning. It includes wearing gloves. Whatever you're doing doesn't matter if it's dirty or if it's clean. It just makes it so that you're not getting anything on your hands. Washing your hands after every service call. That's a big one. That should be done whether you're wearing gloves or not. Also, just taking even though there's some, yes, there's social distancing, but it's also taking the time to actually talk to your customer, figure out what they want, figure out what they need in their house, not just looking at the problem. It's you're still going to need to communicate with your customer, whether, like Todd said, whether it's over the phone, if they are sick, or if it's in person, you're still going to have to talk to them and figure out the best thing for your customers.
Boy, technology has made our lives really great at this point. Most of our clients have iPhones or something equivalent. If we download WhatsApp, we can talk to them digitally in real time. And there's not a client on the planet that's going to be agitated with that. You can process credit cards over the phone. The truth is that we don't have a limitation for communicating. We're just going to have to figure out a new way to do it.
I'd like to add to that too, that societally, we could look at incredible cultural changes right now. I've heard it stated many times that this is a great social experiment. We're in an area where literally tens of thousands of people between Amazon, Boeing, Microsoft, Primera Blue Cross have been ordered to work from home if they possibly can. The difference on Interstate 5 and Interstate 405 is incredible. Our traffic volumes are down to 30% of what they were formerly. It's incredible. We get to where we're going. I love that. So shouldn't we learn from this that more people can work from home and keep them off the road if that's at all possible? It has nothing to do with the service industry. But please, if this many people can make Boeing and Microsoft and Amazon and Primera work, still working from home, then most of them should continue to work from home after this is all over. So that's just an eye-opening moment. Everybody doesn't need to be in the dang office every day and on the highway before and after work. That's all.
It will be very interesting to see what the smog rate is in Seattle in a week or two.
Air quality, sure.
Oh, yeah, it'll be probably fascinating. Okay, you know what? Here's a question from Steve, and I may fill this one if that's okay. But he says, "What's the best way to disinfect an iPad when you can't get any wipes?" And you know, the CDC says that just plain old rubbing alcohol that's on shelves, those might be limited too, but plain old rubbing alcohol does a great job. And Steve, I don't know if you're in the heating and air conditioning side of things, but if not, it doesn't matter. Everybody, Steve Moores at Dynamic IEQ. Steve Moore's a Dynamic IEQ. I'm writing him today. It was in my plan just to have him send me just a UV light. And I'm going to make a little box out of duct board here at the house. And it's going to be my decontaminator. You know, we're having groceries being sent right now. And we're just going to throw the groceries in there and turn on the light and seal it. And that's just going to be our decontaminator. And it is extremely effective. UV light works. So, you know, what I would say, Steve, is if you're in the heating and air conditioning business, you can get creative. And almost everybody here has some basic materials. You could build a disinfectant system. But that's not very practical for the everyday use. But, you know, we are technicians, right? And I'm going to be whipping together my disinfectant box in the next day or two. It's going to happen. I'll send some pictures. All right, let's see. Sally, she was asking some specific questions about personal gear that we should supply our techs with. So would you share with everybody what is all the gear, Steve, that you've stocked up on, and give us an idea as to about how much the cost was per tech to make sure that they had what they needed?
Well, I think that cost is going up, by the way, just this last week, but that's all right. We routinely equip all of our technicians with rubber gloves. Now they're using them more than ever. Brandon, I think, uses more gloves than anybody in the company, but he's always been that way. It's a good, safe precaution. We always use shoe covers. We've always had the Tyvek suits, so just the white hazmat suit, other people refer to it as, with a hood. We've always provided those free for our technicians, and now they know that if they wear that suit inside a home, it's a one-use item. Those, I think, are about $8 or $9 a piece. So it's not going to be cheap to get through this. But again, what is the expense of having an infected technician who cross-contaminates the company? So I'm happy to keep putting out those $10 suits, shoe covers, and gloves. As for the masks, that's something that's the company insists that the technicians and apprentices purchase. I spent more than 20 years working in crawl spaces without any facial protection, doing soldering and going through God knows what. And it didn't help the condition of my lungs today. So just out of concern for my techs, we make sure that they're equipped with those, with their own knee pads and any other natural gear. But we can and will provide for our technicians in this time. And we're not really looking at the bottom line. I know it's not about return on investment. It's just about protecting my people.
Right. There's several questions. We've got a question from Jason. We've got a question from Nick. We've got a question from JJ. I'm sure if I were to scroll all the way down, we would find even more. The essence of it is Nick is he's a new owner of a company, which means he's already got some loans for that. Jason's phone isn't ringing, which, by the way, Jason, check out the previous one that we talked about. We're talking about adjusting your advertising. You need to advertise. I went back to rule number 1, and you need to adjust your advertisement. And if you want, I can send you some examples of what Steve has done at their company. And from JJ, our biggest fear is that we have a small family business and we're concerned about sustainability, surviving the storm, how to prepare. Okay. So one of the things I want to say to all of you guys is our company, we're taking so many steps. Like if you look at these bags under my eyes, and if you're curious, I worked like a 13-hour day yesterday, and Toby can verify this. We're assigning who's going to be the SBA loan person here in this company, who's going to be the expert that's going to walk you through how to apply for those. Right now, just about anyone that's going to apply for it is probably going to get approved. So I'm not a big believer in debt for debt's sake, but if you need financing, then right now the government has SBA loans that are specifically for this relief purpose. If someone gets sick, they're going to let you give them 2 weeks paid leave, which we were going to do that as a company anyway. Now they're going to let you take that as a deduction from your taxes owed, which means it's going to be very easy to get your money back. So we're working hard. These are all things that we're going to be providing to people as public access because we want to help you guys navigate through this process. So I'm going to go back to what I said to everybody that's being fearful. Don't be. Because what happens is our brain tends to get what it focuses on. And we don't get motivated when we get trapped in the woes. If you don't have that side of your personality that when a crisis comes up, it gets you fired up, then get hooked up with someone that does. Fundamentally, guys, these bags under my eyes are because I'm working long hours. But the truth is, I'm excited about helping you guys overcome these problems. But that's the type of leader I am. I think I actually do better in a crisis than when everything's just chill. So get excited about going, okay, we got problems in our business. This really represents my time to shine. Don't focus on your fears and anxieties. And on a practical standpoint, and this is for everybody, and I said this last night, I'm going to say it again. Focus on the things that we know produce positive mental health. And that would be things like exercise, good food, still get some sunshine. And for goodness gracious, please don't self-medicate right now. It's not doing you any good. It's making it worse. All right. There's no judgment on what I just said there to anyone. And that's for anyone. But what we know is that you need to get fired up and motivated. And we also are going to be doing more things to help you guys through this crisis. But we've only got so many hours in the day, as you can imagine. By the way, if you think that you're going to need help with that SBA loan process, shoot me a message. You guys all have my email. Put in the subject line SBA loan help, please. As soon as we figure out who this expert on our team is going to be, we talked about it for the first time yesterday. I'm hoping to have someone raise their hand in today's huddle and say, I'll be that guy. We'll get you connected, okay? Let's see. Let me look through a little bit more questions. How do we do more on the zero contact call? It's coming. Let us get some things in writing for you. John, how do we train our guys to make sure that the client does not perceive us taking advantage of the situation? Excellent question. In other words, how do we guarantee our client we're not price gouging them? Steve, go on that one, please.
That's just goes back to our standard operating procedures. So we've worked with a pricing guide for many years now, and we train our technicians when they prepare or present their proposals to have the guide in front of them so the customer can see exactly where we're pulling our prices. These are not numbers that were pulled out of a hat. These are not numbers that changed when our technician approached in the driveway. These are numbers that can be verified in print, and we don't make it a secret. This is a standard pricing guide, keeps it fair to all of our customers. And yes, there are many jobs that are priced outside of the pricing guide. That gets back to a subjective area of how you build trust and rapport. And while a lot of people are touching on mechanical situations and operating procedures, I want to emphasize something that's really vital here. This is a leadership issue. And the mood of your men and the way that they present themselves is up to you and or your management. We begin every day with a huddle. And I've reminded the men every day for 2 weeks, and Brandon will verify this. The first thing that we have to do is calm our customers' fears. And they do have fear, and they do have anxiety. We can see it in the way they drive, the way they shop, and the way they speak, even the way they interact on social forums today. So it's no surprise that they're still tense when we get to their home. On top of COVID, we have a stock market crash, probably triggering a recession. So we have to recognize those anxieties. We've got to do everything that we can, eye to eye, to make a personal contact with the person, reduce those anxieties before we do anything with plumbing. Then with them in a relaxed state, we've got to go improve our professionalism and our value by our assessment, by the options that we present. And then we still have to close a sale. But the first thing that we do is calm everybody down. And that starts with leadership here every single morning. Fortunately, I've got a group of the most level-headed guys I could ever hope for. We discuss the news, but they follow that tone that's set. And we have actually watched closing rates in March increase over February. So with fewer opportunities, our revenue is up, our closing rates are up, because we're refocusing every single morning before we send them out. That's leadership. That doesn't have anything to do with masks or gloves or disinfectant. Those are mechanical things. Those are easy. Leadership is hard. You have to be aware of what's happening in the market and then convey that in a calm, leader-like manner before your people go out in the field. And hopefully that's what they're conveying to your customers.
Yes. You know, Steve, yesterday with the guys, I said one of the things that I know that will make you ideally great at this, despite that you're in Seattle going through this, is that I said you have the perfect late night FM DJ voice. As master negotiator, Chris Vaughn likes to say, you stay calm in a crisis, and it is about leadership. It's totally about leadership. You know, and there's some questions that are coming through here. I might not have all the insights. One question is, how do we handle a complete shutdown if that were to happen? Well, you know, we'll just answer that. If the government steps in and says nobody can go anywhere, stay in your home now from this point forward. Here's the positive side of that, Wayne. That's true for everybody, your competition too.
Yeah.
So if it happens, we're all in the same boat, which means we'll all rise with that tide when it goes back up. Okay, so don't be overly stressed about that. Another person said, "How do I get my team on board?" And I think Steve just hit on that. It's leadership. And I don't want you to miss what he said. Daily huddles. Leaders have to take time to communicate and to over communicate and to paint reality, right? And you got to do that. And, I told my team this yesterday, and Toby's on here, but, I guess it'd be better coming from Toby. Toby, unmute for a second. And after our meeting yesterday, what were some of the things that I told you that I was willing to do? And did it have an impact on you, and how? I don't want to give away too much. I don't know
I tell you, I had a client call me yesterday, Todd. And I mean, I was ready to run through a brick wall, man, after we got off our team call, just because it's just exhilarating. And then it was just very informative. And, with that level of training. And then you talked about, us not traveling and then what you were willing to do for us personally that obviously is going to affect me and my family. But, we're looking forward, and even through this, I mean, we're going to be okay. We're survivors as a country. And then with us as a company, man, we're going to be leaders, and we're going to do all we can to serve our clients.
Absolutely. Thank you, Toby. Not everybody is in the position or made plans, but
Just us.
Todd, I can't hear you if you're talking.
thank you.
Yeah. Go back again, Todd. Your sound went out.
That was because I was still muted and I didn't know it. I appreciate it. What we told Toby and the guys was that Shannon and I, as business owners, didn't take every penny out of this company. We've always kept retained earnings. And I have a literal line item called Nuclear Arsenal Fund, which has been money that I have saved for the purpose one day of maybe having to deal with this. So it's my intention to be smart with that money, but if things get real bad, Shannon and I will loan the money to the company so that the company can restructure. And if we had to loan the money from this, if we had to go borrow it from the SBA, that's what we do. But what I would stress to all of you, I wouldn't do any of it without a plan. Okay, time to send me another email. And it's going to be this: I need a plan. If you feel like right now you're freaking out a little bit, shoot me an email that says I need a plan. And I will know that what that means is that you don't know what the next steps are and you need a deeper dive. I need a plan. Make sure you put your mobile number in there and give me some time to get connected with you. But if you're freaking out, I need a plan, shoot me an email. We'll figure that out, okay? We'll work through it. Okay, Todd and Company, we're so thankful for the opportunity to learn. Summer, you're welcome. And how to survive in this environment, our pleasure. We are here today to learn how to keep our team members and their families safe, as well as the best way to approach consults. What is good etiquette to ask if they've been sick? I think we probably covered that. If you want a little bit more on that, let me know, Summer. Oh, here's a good one, Steve. From Matthew Cron. What is the most difficult part of conveying a sense of urgency and calmness at the same time?
Well, it means that somebody has to watch the news, right? and to be clear, part of our instruction is we've instructed our men. They're walking into customers' homes. If they've got MSNBC, Fox News, CNN, I don't care what your political affiliation is. If they've got the news turned on, make them turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I've got to digest from all news sources and determine what is the climate that is impacting my company today. My job hasn't changed. It was the same job 6 months ago. And whatever that climate was, that's what I'm gearing my men for every morning in our huddle. Today, it's a different climate. Today, it's all COVID. It's all economy. What's going to happen? So I've got to be aware, I've got to be informed, and now I've got to translate that for a group of guys who are less than half my age, who don't have access or are not exposed to the same news sources. And I've got to interpret in such a way that I'm going to send them out as representatives of Steve's Plumbing to where we're going to make a helpful impact in the community and a positive impact. We can't be out there agitating and stirring up the field. The controversies that are online or the controversies that are in the news today are none of my affair. My affair is simply solving plumbing problems and presenting a calm and rational voice to my people every day. That means somebody has to be informed, and that's me. So I start out with that information every day, and the news changes every day. And I want my men to know that I'm aware of it, how I feel it's going to affect their chances out there, but I like what I'm seeing. Our numbers are actually coming up in the last 2 weeks since we've seen this thing really break loose. So I'm encouraged. I believe that with the measures that we're taking right now, we will continue not just to thrive, but to grow.
Wonderful. And I love it. And I believe it as well. Christina Smith wants to know, but is HVAC considered an essential? So
Yes.
she's in HVAC. She wants to know, is it essential, Steve? Well, I know you guys
Air
are
quality?
Yeah.
It's well, yeah. Seattle, we're hitting the 30s right now. So if our customers don't have heat and air, any air, their equipment, they need it. Yeah, we're a plumbing company, but yeah, HVAC is definitely essential because you can't be in a house that's freezing cold. It's unlivable.
All of the trades, roofing, electrical, plumbing, heating, air conditioning is 100% essential. It's our shelter, right? Yeah, so we are essential. We are essential for sure. How are you getting approvals without a signature? That's a question. Our technicians are currently using iPads and collect signatures for approvals and credit cards. How does that work with zero contact? Well, I can help with that real quick, and then I'll let Steve jump in there too. Most small contractors are probably still using something like QuickBooks. You can do QuickBook invoicing right on the spot, and they can pay with it using their mobile phone in their pocket, and it's super fast and it's super easy. I'm not a Service Titan genius or a service field genius, but I think all of those have that same exact option. And in worst case, you just take the verbal approval over the phone. You get the credit card information and all those things, and you send them an email. And I mean, you're probably going to be fine. People still take credit card payments over the phone all the time. We do it. So, Steve, what are some ways that you guys are doing it if you need to go to zero contact?
I can cover this
Sure.
because it's the same as a landlord-tenant situation. Basically, you're calling a landlord to get approval, and basically on every invoice that I have that I'm talking to somebody over the phone, I write down phone authorization, and before doing any work in that situation, we get the credit card info. We don't run it yet, but we get their credit card info as a sign that they're approving the work. And basically, it's almost like a signature, because if somebody's willing enough to give you their credit card before you're even doing the work, it means that they trust you enough that you're going to actually do the job and get it done before you've actually done the job. So that's how I see it.
Good. I like it. So there's a couple other questions in here, and then I think I've covered almost everything. There are a few in here that I think are interesting, worth exploring. Pardon me. John Hicks, I think he's asking me from what I just said. I'm not sure. If you have a person shut down for 14 days due to fever, how are you paying them? Because that was nothing that Steve ever said that he was doing. That was something that I said that I'm doing. So, John, what we're doing as a company is because we're a performance-based pay company here, and right now, not everybody's at 100% optimal capacity all the time. We always have a little bit of room on Thursday and Friday. What we've decided to do as a team is for everyone to fill the gap. If someone gets sick, we're going to look at all of our schedules, and that includes me, and we're going to fill that gap for service, no different than what you would do if you lost one of your service technicians. And we as a company have decided to do that and to continue to pay that employee. I know that I will end up, in essence, being in a truck 50% of my time for that employee when that happens. And that's something that I'm choosing to do as a leader of our company. And I chose to do that weeks before they said that they would pay us back through tax credits. So I'm happy that they're doing that now. So that's just something we decided to do. So I'll jump out there because I didn't ask Steve if that's what he's doing. I'm not going to. How do you suggest helping employees that have no aftercare since schools have shut down? And this, we had to talk about this, but Steve, I want to see if you guys have planned any thoughts on that for like your CSRs that may have to do their job with their kids at home.
We've adapted our CSR schedule. We had out of our 2 CSRs, again, with the size company we have, that's appropriate. They had overlapping hours during the day. And so to increase our separation, our social distance, we no longer overlap. We have a morning and an afternoon shift. And that's actually preferable for both of them. There are other benefits that come into that as well. With our technicians, we recognize that if your child's child care center is shut down, that takes priority over work. And it's a simple yes. So Brody called me yesterday and said, Steve, Harper's daycare is shut down. I can do it. I can watch her today. My wife is going to watch her tomorrow. Our employees know that that's a given. All they have to do is inform me. If I'm missing someone because he has to take care of their child, well, let's face it, family is way more important than Steve's plumbing. And so we're going to protect that child. Brody's going to get that day off without a problem. So flexibility is the issue. I can't be surprised when a family member calls and says, hey, this happened. School shut down, daycare shut down. What's going to be the impact? We're going to do our best to lessen that impact and be flexible with that employee. If it came to it, then we would alter that employee's schedule to allow him to work when he could. Maybe that employee would be more available in evenings after his wife got home. Maybe he would be more willing to take emergencies on weekends. Whatever presents itself, we'll adapt to.
Good. Thank you very much. I think who would the employee get paid then? So obviously there's more questions that you guys have. We will we will have more of these and we'll address different things. But what this is saying, if you've got all these questions about how someone's going to get paid, when they're going to get paid, what that really is saying is that these are topics that you've not sat down to think through just yet. And that's okay. If we are getting you to think about these things, that's good. You need to do that. You need to think about these things. If you're struggling with it, I go back to my offer before. I need a plan. You know, we will do our best to assist in the most economical way to do that. Whether that's getting another group message going on by how many need a plan versus how many need a policy and setting up other meetings. We'll figure that out. If you need help, send us a message. This is what we do. It's what we do. Now, I do want to stress to everybody, we want to do our best to serve everyone, but clients like Steve, clients like Brothers, clients like Kanga, like Rebecca, those clients that are with us, they get our first priority and our first attention because they're taking care of us and we got to take care of them through this time. If you're not a continual client of ours, we're still going to help you, but you might have to be patient as we get to you. Okay? But we will get to you. Steve and Brandon, I'm sorry. I said Brody because you said Brody. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate what you guys have to say, what you're doing. I think all my personal questions were answered by the audience's questions. I just want to just to say how deeply I love each of you, especially you, Steve. You've got that brotherly love that runs really deep for me. So I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, friend.
Thank you. Guys, if you would like to give Steve some shout outs, you can also send me an email and I'll forward them to him. If you want to tell him you appreciate it, I'll make sure he gets all those. I hope that this was beneficial to everyone. I hope that we gave you something of value. If you need help, don't be afraid to ask. And I will continue with my team to do everything we can to serve this community of contractors. Let's strive and let's thrive, not just survive. Okay, let's make ourselves, succeed in this moment of crisis because we can. And to bring power and hope is our mission. To turn learning into earning is what the purpose of all of this is for. Thank you, guys. I'll post this recording for you so you can watch it in the future. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you, Todd.
Bye, everyone.